Welcome to another episode of TimeShift America. Where are we off to today as we take a journey back through time? Let's enter the server room and decipher our latitude and longitude. And today it is 42 degrees, 27 minutes and 38 seconds, and your longitude is 83 degrees, 8 minutes and 12 seconds. We're zooming into southeast Michigan. It's the area of Woodward and 9 Mile in the city of Ferndale. Population is right around 20,000. A hip little town that has branded itself as fashionable Ferndale. The terracotta tiled building is the focus of our attention today. Let's time shift back almost 100 years. The year is 1928 and we are looking at Woolworth's 5 and 10 cent store on 9 Mile Road in Ferndale, Michigan. Let's examine how and why one of the most successful American companies of the 20th century, F.W. Woolworths Co., chose this location for a retail store. At the beginning of the 20th century, many American cities were experiencing a population boom. Take a look. In 1900, the big city to the south of Ferndale, Detroit, had a population of 285,000. Just 10 years later, it had leaped to 465,000, and then, in 1920, it doubled to just shy of 1 million people. The population increase was brought on by immigration to the United States from European nations and migration of agricultural workers from the south to the northern industrial cities for manufacturing jobs, such as Detroit's growing auto industry, thanks in part to Henry Ford's affordable Model T car, built by assembly line workers earning $5 a day, a wage extraordinarily high for the time. The overcrowding of cities led to economic growth and population migration into the outlying areas beyond the city's geographic boundaries, into areas soon to become known as the suburbs. And one such suburb is right here in Ferndale, Michigan. Originally Ferndale incorporated as a village in 1918, then officially became a city in 1927. Having just 2,640 residents in 1920, Ferndale's population grew by a whopping 690% in just 10 years. According to the US Census, by 1930 the small town's population had ballooned to 20,855. Ferndale became known as a bedroom community, as workers of the Ford Motor Company, located in the nearby cities of Highland Park and Detroit, needed homes to live in, and in turn, these homes needed supplies and knickknacks, which leads us nicely back to Woolworths. With new housing, paved roads and automobiles to travel, retail stores such as Woolworth's 5 and 10 cent store served the daily needs of people living further away from the urban centers. A growing population with increased spending power during the booming economy of the Roaring '20s, consumers flocked to these fixed-price bargain stores for everyday needs and even unique gifts. As a young man, Frank Winfield Woolworth worked in a general store in New York and had the brilliant idea of setting up a table with items for sale at a fixed price of 5 cents each. It was such a hit with customers, he opened his own store in 1879 in Utica, New York. With his brother Charles, they began opening stores across the country, ultimately expanding worldwide. Together, they were the first to bring us special offers, display shelves, and customer service practices that are commonplace today. Their fixed price of 5 and 10 cents for all items eventually rose to include 20-cent items in 1932. By 1935, as inflation rose, Woolworths eliminated their price limits and Woolworths 5 and dime became simply F.W. Woolworth & Co. Despite the raising of prices, wages for workers at Woolworths and other stores remain low and stagnant, especially for women, who made up 90% of Woolworth's workforce. Then something revolutionary occurred. Women working in major cities across the US banded together to form the Union of Department Store Employees, demanding a 40-hour work week, higher wages. It was met with resistance by management, as well as by their male co-workers who were paid more than their female counterparts. Inspired by the successful sit-down strikes by auto workers in Flint, Michigan in 1936 and 37, the women of Woolworth in major cities such as New York, San Francisco, and Detroit staged sit-down strikes over several months in 1937. They gained public support. Women were being arrested en masse for demanding lunch breaks, fair wages, a 40-hour work week, and the right to join a union. The sit-down strike in Detroit lasted a week, and newspapers across the country reported that Detroit police prepared to meet violence. 150 Woolworth girls returned to work after a week-long sit-down strike. A short time later, the Woolworth employees were able to claim victory. "We won," the sign reads. They got their lunch breaks. They even got a 10-cent hourly raise. But their victory was short-lived. A year later, Woolworths refused to re-sign with the unions, and the store once again became a non-union workplace. But the seeds had been sown. The workers had been heard. With the growing economic power of the American worker, whether on the assembly line or behind a cash register, the American dream was becoming reality in cities and suburbs across America, placing towns like Ferndale firmly on the map. Woolworth was once again thrust into the headlines during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Segregation and discrimination denied many African Americans the privilege of enjoying a meal at the Woolworths lunch counters across the South.
That all men are created equal.
Inspired by the words and actions of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 4 college freshmen planned to challenge the whites-only policy. On February 1st, 1960, in Greensboro, North Carolina, the 4 of them sat down at the Woolworths lunch counter and attempted to order some refreshments. They were denied service, harassed by white customers. But these protesters remained unmoved until the store closed. Then they went back to their college dorms. They returned the next day with more students and repeated their peaceful protest day after day. As days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, the numbers of their supporters grew, as did those who opposed the students' cause. News footage from the time shows counter-protesters dumping milkshakes and food on the head of these peaceful protesters. Some of these skirmishes turned violent. The campaign against Woolworths continued and spread across other southern cities. 6 weeks into the lunch counter protests, President Dwight D. Eisenhower expressed his support for the civil rights protesters, saying he was deeply sympathetic with the efforts of any group to enjoy the rights of equality that they are guaranteed by the Constitution. After 6 months of protests and with sales dropping by a third, on July 25th, 1960, Greensboro store manager Clarence Harris asked 4 black employees to change out of their work clothes, go to the counter, order a meal. Segregation at Woolworths had come to an end. The Woolworth economic model of retail was copied by many for the next century, notably Detroit-based Kresge, later known as Kmart, and Federal department stores. We see it in today's discount stores like Dollar Tree, Five Below, and many of the big box stores. Woolworths had some other remarkable moments in history. Take a look. It was the first retailer to go global after opening a store in Liverpool, England in 1909. The American Woolworths 5 and dime became England's Woolworths threepence and sixpence. They went on to open dozens of stores across Europe. In 1979, the Guinness Book of World Records declared Woolworths the largest department store chain in the world. In 1913, with the company's increasing financial wealth, Frank Woolworth decided to build the world's tallest building in New York City. And when it came time to pay for construction, well, he paid cash. $13.5 million in cash to be precise. That's a whole lot of nickels and dimes. In today's money, that would be well over $350 million. It became the company's headquarters and was one of the world's most famous skyscrapers, located in Lower Manhattan at 60 stories tall. It remained the tallest building in the world until the Empire State Building came along in 1930. For more info about the Woolworths retail empire and to see what happened to this shopping giant, head over to TimeShiftAmerica.com. But for now, as we leave history firmly in its place and time shift back to the 21st century, that terracotta roof building of 1928, and all the history it holds, standing tall as a reminder of a time that we ought not forget. We're bringing history to life on TimeShift America.